What's up, guys? Hope you're having a great day. So this is part 2 of Is There Massive Forensic Reasonable Doubt? I've got all the details, so let's get right into it. First up, I've seen a ton of speculation, comments, and feedback online on all the platforms pursuant to Dylan and this quote vacuum-like object. First and foremost, on my pages, for those that know me and the way I work, I am not here to tell anyone else what to think ever. I'm here to present you all with the most credible fact-based intel I can and sometimes draw logical inferences, but most of all, let you all draw your own conclusions. That being said, let's talk about the possible options. Was that object 1, a smaller K-bar typed edge weapon, 2, an actual vacuum, 3, possibly a larger weapon, aka multiple assailants with multiple weapons, or 4, other or none of the above? Yesterday, I had speculated that I believed during this compressed time period in which this alleged activity occurred, it would be my belief that the intruder which Dylan made direct eye contact with was logically holding some type of weapon. Again, that is for you all to piece together. I am most curious to see the forensic pathology, exhibits, and expert testimony at trial, especially the wounds inflicted from victim to victim, to see if there are factually variances, as seemingly corroborated by the coroner very early on. As I believe it may support the idea of multiple weapons, thereby creating more reasonable doubt in the minds of jurors, but that remains to be seen in August. Now, let's again circle back to the new intel we know pursuant to Dylan and Murphy and combine them to clearly articulate what Anne was trying to convey to us at the recent hearing. Based on the state's case, and again pivoting towards trial, we know it is alleged the assailant logically began on the 3rd floor, committing 2 savage homicides by edge weapon. Now, we know if factually carrying a weapon whilst traveling down the staircase and across the common area, we would logically see 90-degree blood drops from that object in the assailant's path of travel. Next, it is logical to believe the assailant went into Xana's room where 2 more homicides by edge weapon occurred. By this time, that weapon would be completely saturated. And again, the assailant traveling back across the common area for a second time, passing Dylan and making direct eye contact, then heading out towards the glass slider. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. We now know, based on a bark test conducted by the MPD, they have reason to believe Murphy was factually outside of the King Road residence at 4:17 a.m., barking and continued to bark well after SV1 is seen departing the area at 4:20 a.m. Murphy barks for a full 30 minutes after SV1 departs, and shortly before 5 a.m. abruptly stops. Bryan asserts in his frank motion that, quote, whoever was in the house brought the dog back inside sometime after 4:20 a.m. But Judge Hippler rebutted with his own speculation that Murphy likely let himself back into 1122 King via an open glass slider and up to Kaylee's room with the door open, where he remained quietly by himself until 12 p.m., a full 7 hours later, 100% clean and had not tracked any blood. You are telling me that animal entered that residence on his own accord and did not investigate, sniff, or step in any biomatter, and was not going absolutely berserk for his owner, Kaylee, who, by the way, it is alleged by Anne, both bedroom doors where the decedents were located were also open. Again, massive reasonable doubt. The prosecution, in my opinion, has a lot of holes to tie up here. Again, just based on this little forensic detail we just learned, Anne will have an absolute field day, poking holes in the state's narrative and creating doubt in the minds of jurors. If it's not making any sense to you or me, it absolutely will not make sense in the minds of any fair and impartial jurors. There's so much more we need to discuss regarding massive forensic reasonable doubt in this case, but I will leave that for parts 3 and 4. Yet let's end on yet another high note. Let's talk about the absolute zero connection between Mr. Kohberger and the victims. Now seemingly acknowledged and corroborated by the state, there is no victim DNA or biomatter in Mr. Kohberger's car, apartment, office, etc. That, in my mind, is 100% exculpatory evidence. Important to note, Judge Hippler did not feel it was relevant to eroding probable cause pursuant to the PC affidavit only because, in all fairness to the state, there were 3 levels of testing done, and those were completed well after Bryan's arrest. Again, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, trial is a completely different ball game, and this lack of evidence will absolutely create more doubt in the minds of jurors. How is that even forensically possible? Considering the tight time frame and Mr. Kohberger allegedly jumping right back into his car after this savagely brutal crime, logically there should be evidence of this crime in that car. Oh, and by the way, Bryan's AT&T cell data will absolutely prove he was not stalking the victims. His phone was never stationary by that home. He was never driving by that home. As Anne clearly stated, he was never at that house. And oh, by the way, no digital connection to the victims, no following on social media, no sliding into anyone's DMs, no liking anyone's pictures on Instagram. That was all fake news created by the fake news mainstream media. Now, when I say massive, this is massive forensic reasonable doubt. And we are not anywhere close to being done yet, without any connection at all. What is the motive? There simply is no motive, and that is that.